Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and all of that good stuff, depending upon where you are in your neck of the woods. This is Pastor Mel Keys right here in San Antonio, and I'm grateful to come to you live today with a beautiful sister who's been a friend for some years. We have to talk and chop it up. It's been, we have to figure out how many moons ago it was when we first met, but we've stayed connected that whole time. And she is a rare jewel indeed. And we're going to be talking about one of her newest babies. She has some brilliant babies now, but she has a new one here, and we're going to be talking about that on today. I'm talking about none other than Coach Lucie Matsouaka, and I'm thankful to God that I have in my possession, and I'm going to get her to give us all the information. I want you now to get prepared to get this as a Christmas gift for the teenagers and the young men and women that sometimes we overlook them. And we're going to make sure that you hear from her so that we don't make that mistake. There are some 7-year-olds, some 8-year-olds, some 9-year-olds. We might be making a huge mistake. And the way she wrote so prolifically, she'll tell the story better than I can. So let me go ahead and get Coach Lucie on this screen. Woman of God, good morning, good day to you.
Good morning, Pastor Mel. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic, and I'm even better that I see you. It's been a moment since I've seen your face in this way.
Oh my goodness, that is correct. It's been years, Pastor Mel. It's been years.
How far
Thank
back
you
does it
so
go?
much for inviting me today.
Can you help me calculate how many years did we get acquainted? How many years?
I think it might be about 10 years.
About somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah, because time flies, because yeah, I think it might be 10 years. A good 10 years, to
A
be
good
honest.
10
Yeah.
years. If not a little bit more. If not a little bit
Yes,
more.
yes, 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 yes. A little bit more maybe. That would make more sense. About 10, 11 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Amazing. You've been so supportive and so encouraging over that tenure. Some people, when they meet, and they just don't see each other all the time, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. But we've always been able to stay connected. I want to thank you for that. And I was very impressed. I'm just impressed with you as a person, number one, period. And your daughter. Oh my God, Lord have mercy. And the work and the way that your husband and yourself have raised up your children. And then when I saw this latest work, The Phenomenal Leader in Me, I said, that's something, a children's book about leadership. You don't see that all the time. So before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your background, where you're from, what type of career, profession, and all that do you come from?
First of all, I have to say thank you. Thank you so much because Pastor Mel, you didn't have to do this. I have a lot of respect for you. I admire you a lot. You don't think, I'm not sure if you understand this, but first of all, this is what, before even talking about me, I have to say that because as a leader yourself, it is a very risky thing to bring anyone in your platform. So I appreciate it. I feel honored that you even think that I bring enough value for you to present me to your audience. So I'm grateful for that. I'm very humbled. I'm like, why me, So I'm grateful for that. I have a lot of respect for you because of the work you do, not only within your church, but outside. And I love, 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 love what you guys say usually. Small church, big impact. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yes.
I'm all about impact, and we're going to talk about it in that about this book. I'm all about the impact we make in people's lives, especially in our youth. So thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you so much. I've been in the U.S. exactly 20 years. I was born in a country called Cameroon, that is in Central Africa, and I came to the U.S. exactly 20 years ago. English is actually my third language. I'm sure those of you who are listening to me right now, I'm sure you already said, why does she have an accent like that? Because English is my third language. And please forgive me if I say the wrong thing here and there. We're just going to have to go through this, okay? We're going to get through this together.
You're good.
I know, right? I had to bring myself to speak that language as a third one. But here's the thing. When I came to the US, I didn't expect to be doing what I'm doing right now. I remember my sister told me, when you come here, the first thing you have to remember that it's all about, healthcare. The healthcare field is the one that produces money. So in my mind, it was about success. It was about money when I left my continent of Africa after traveling in other places. Um, I my background has nothing to do with business or all of this. In high school, I actually did international trade. No, I mean, I'm sorry, electronics first, and then in college back home, I did international trade, which is funny, right? It's really funny. Like I did electronics and international trade, and I come to the U.S. and I jump in nursing just because that's what pays the bill.
Mm-hmm.
But you do those things and you don't feel fulfilled, and because I don't even understand what fulfillment is at that time. I was young, what, 26? I don't know. Um, and I remember that after doing my nurse, I was taking ESL classes. I go to school, I learn all that stuff, and I start working like 80 hours a week as a CNA first, and then it still doesn't feel right. Not the people. I feel like my entire life I've always loved human beings, like people, but the thing is, the profession itself, I felt like something was off. You know how sometimes you're like, something is off here.
Mm-hmm.
And I go into dental assisting. I become a dental assistant, and for a while, the schedule doesn't work with my kids, and I find myself going back to nursing where I work night shift and all that stuff. And then I went to LPN classes. I become an LPN, and it still does not bring me the joy I want. And I get into sales, and I start doing sales, and I partnered with a company that allowed me to work from home. And in my mind, the first idea is I want to take care of. I want to be able to have the time and the money to stay home and take
Mm-hmm.
care of my kids. That's the mindset that I have.
Right.
And I finally realized that by doing so, I worked with that company in partnership with that company about, I think, about 7 years straight. And all those years, you were required to to build a team, an organization.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first introduction to leadership ever. And I
Wow.
think I discovered myself. You see, when you work, if you are forced to create an organization, to build a team
Mm-hmm.
and lead them to a certain level, you're gonna have to grow. And I had to grow a lot. I had to grow a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am building a huge organization. I'm not even sure what I'm doing, but I have great mentors. I
Mm-hmm.
have people who guide me and train me and teach me what to do along the way. So I learn as I go.
Mm-hmm.
And now I discover myself and I start thinking, wait a minute, I can do this and I can do that. And I realized that I can become more than I am at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I was introduced to personal development. And I started to read, and I understood that reading was extremely important. I started to read, look for information, and I realized that if I'm going to understand the word purpose, I'm going to have to follow people or maybe leaders who already understand what purpose is and who can actually guide me into all that. So, and I found myself building an organization with more than about 18,000 people.
Wow.
Yes, my organization was huge and I built leaders. And at some point, the company fell apart a little bit. So I walked away crushed
Mm-hmm.
in my heart. I, I say, okay, Lucy, what do we do now? I say to myself, I don't want to lose those leadership skills that I learned over the years. And I'm thinking, I grew so much, and thinking about going back to nursing, it doesn't draw me.
Right.
I don't have that thing anymore in my heart. And I really never had that, but I felt, this is another thing. So I think about it and I decide um, because of the fact that I struggled too much to go from one profession to another one here and there. And I realized that a lot of people go through that. So I'm thinking, what if I do career coaching to
Uh,
help people get into the correct career? And the funny thing is, I'm thinking about it. I get my certification. I finish that with that, and I start coaching people in, like, you know how career coaching. There's nothing wrong with career coaching. Okay, it's actually a good thing. There's
Okay.
nothing wrong. But here's the obstacle that I found working as a career coach only. You know, you get one person, you get this person to you teach that person everything that they need to look good on paper before that job interview, right? So they have the education from school to succeed in their career, but you get them ready for that job interview, and and then they go over there. I mean, the resume looks good. They look good. I mean, everything is perfect. And now they get there, they get the job, and then what? My mind goes off again. I'm thinking, what is going on? Why is it that some people, after doing all this, they go into those doors and they lose the job? Why? What is going on? So my mind is still working, and I feel like a failure. So not everybody is going to feel that way, but
Right.
I started to take it as a responsibility. I'm like, why is that? Why this person lost that job that I helped them get? You know,
Right.
why? And I feel like it's my responsibility to help them get better. It was not my responsibility. And I realized that if we have enough, if those young people had the correct information, to get into those doors and stay there, which
Right.
means the self leadership,
Right.
the people skills, they will get there. And you know what? I know that my answer is a little long, but I'm going to say something. Every time I have a conversation with a manager, for example, I would say, if you had a chance to, no, if you had the opportunity to hire two people, okay, one person has the education, the proper education, and everything. I mean, they fit the job description from A to Z perfectly,
Okay.
but their attitude sucks, right? And then you have another one. They have almost everything you need, but they don't have everything, but they have a beautiful personality. They have the people skills that you need,
Absolutely.
the teamwork. I mean, all the good stuff that you need.
Easy
If
choice.
you have two files and you have those two people to interview, who would you choose to fill those shoes,
Attitude.
to be in that position? And all managers, I'm telling you, 90, like, oh, I'm not gonna say 90%, like most of the time 100% say, I'd rather hire the person who doesn't have everything, because I can teach them what to do when it comes to skills. When it
That's
comes to skills, I'm going to teach them what to do. But the people, if they don't have, if they have a bad attitude and if they don't know what to do when it comes to functioning with people in society and in the workplace, I don't want them here. And here's the thing. So I felt like it was my responsibility, because, Pastor Mel, I'm not a whiner, I'm not a complainer. And when I see something that bothers me too much, in my mind, I'm thinking, instead of whining and complaining, what can we do to bring a solution?
Solution.
That's when it was, my heart was really, whew, that's how I found myself doing this. I was like, okay, if all that information that I have, that I acquired all those years, what if I focus on preparing those people to the workplace,
Right.
to the workforce? I'm sorry, to the workforce, by teaching them the self leadership skills. I'm not going to say skills. I'm going to say principles,
Okay.
because there's a difference. We're going to talk about it. There's a difference between only the skills and the
Right.
principles. If we can implement those early, before they get to college, before they get into, because the problem is people just go, we let kids go to all those years, and then we wait until they finish with their master's degrees and their PhDs, and then they start failing, and now we say, oh, what's going on? They were not prepared for that workforce.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's my issue. My issue is we can prevent that. We
Yeah.
can definitely start early.
Right.
That's why I'm so passionate about it, and that's how I found myself doing this.
I
I
love
think so. I never wanted to do this, though. It's an accident.
that. Well, you say accident, but it's really providence. Let me say hello to a few people. We got my Aunt Jackie from New York is in the house. Katrina D. Johnson, right here in San Antonio, is in the house. My nephew Gerald Pittman is in the house. My daughter Carol Brown, Minister Mary Skinny Jean Shepherd are all in the house. Thank y'all for chiming along with us. Listen, we're about to go deep into this conversation with Coach Lucie. Coach Lucie, I want you to take us back to Cameroon, my dear. How did you see yourself for someone to become the phenomenal leader that you are, to pour yourself into other leaders who are your peers, and especially the little ones, and the way you've raised your children? Man, they're just giant leaders at such a young age. And they say it takes one to know one that way. What was your 8-year-old, 12-year-old self like in that regard? How did you see yourself then?
It's funny how you ask that question. The people who know me when I was a little girl, when they see me today, they say, this is what they said, aunts and uncles, they say, we knew you were going to do something like that. And I didn't see it. I didn't know, but I remember when I was 9, 10, I wanted to write, and I was telling my dad, I would love to write books and stuff like that. I would like to, and he was like, oh, really? It was something back in the day. It was not only certain people could write books. Only I wasn't good enough. It wasn't something that, it was far away. I didn't see myself doing it because even my father didn't believe he could write a book. Big, so all those things. And I remember being that person who was I love human beings. Let me just put it that way. I love human beings. My kids say I have a bubbly personality, which I don't believe. I tell them it's not true. But they say I have too much energy, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I know I love human beings. And I was thinking at some point I was going to be a teacher at school. Which I don't want to do, but I'm grateful that I can call myself a teacher today, because I teach. I'm not a motivational speaker with people who tend to call me. I'm not, because I don't believe in motivation. It doesn't, especially outside of the mind. I believe that I can teach people what they need to do, or what they need to know in order for them to get where they want to go. I'm not sure if I really saw myself here. I don't think so. Yeah.
At what point? Okay, you didn't. Others now tell you, looking back, they saw it. You didn't see it. At what point in your maturation did you say, I
think when I was in sales and I started to build an organization, I started to create leaders, duplicate myself, and I started to feel that passion and that urge to teach and lead. And I remember that when I started to feel like I was very annoyed when people didn't know what they needed to know in order for them to succeed. And I felt like I felt that strong desire to give them the information. It's just like someone told me one day, and I think it was like 7 years ago. She said, it's a friend of mine in Boston. She said, I don't understand why you will know all those secrets, and then you will come and share that with us, when it seems like other people know and they kind of keep that for themselves to just grow on their own. And I say, oh, really? Because I found that strong desire to just share wherever I know. I think it was I would say about 10 years ago, about the time we met, 10, 11 years ago. I think it clicked a little bit, and I started to feel the desire to change lives with my story, number one, and my own experiences. And I think that's where it's clicked that maybe I should do this.
So what I sense you're saying is, being put into a situation that demanded what was inside of you, you became aware of it, and then you were able to release it.
Yes. But here's the thing, Pastor Mel. The truth is, I think what helped me is that I became aware of that, but I was in the right environment with the right books
Okay.
the right information,
Okay.
because a lot of us, a lot of people, the common, a lot of human beings, I would say, we sometimes people know what they want to do,
Hmm.
but they don't have the correct information. They
Hmm.
don't have the right environment to cultivate that,
Hmm.
and unfortunately it dies. And I call that the potential, right? Like you have a potential, but you have to be able to be in the right atmosphere in order for that to develop. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into some nitty gritty and some heart and soul. This phenomenal leader in me. And I love the illustration and the graphics and all of that. Just
Uh-huh.
makes you feel real good. That's when I used to have hair right there.
Yes, I have
That's
a
a long
copy
time
here
ago.
too.
But kids, they have, I love, Jesus says it best, suffer them to come unto me, forbid them not, for of such is the kingdom of God. They have such a king's heart. They have the royalty, they have the faith, they have the compassion, they have the attributes, but so many times they're overlooked. We want them to stay in a child's place.
Mhm.
We want them to, slow your roll. You're growing up too fast, and there are ways that they can grow up too fast.
That is
But
correct.
but you saw something, and I think it's powerful because I see a number of people writing children's book that are motivational, encouraging, but this is a leadership book to children. So talk to us about that. Why a child's book, a children's book about leadership? Where did that come from?
Ooh, I know. You're not the first person to ask me this question. Someone actually asked me, why children, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of adults.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the first question I'm gonna answer this way, okay? It's gonna be a question. Um, if the devil can focus on them, why not us?
Woo! That's a mic drop. Mm-hmm.
That's the first question I will ask you.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, and I need adults who are listening to me to understand this. This is kids are we all like to say things like, oh, our children are the next generation, they this and they that. And
Mm-hmm.
because they are the next generation, um, a lot of people don't understand that if the devil is actually focusing on them so badly. Why? Because they are the next generation.
Come on.
Also, what I focus on kids because adults sometimes are stubborn. I'm sorry to say that. We are stubborn. We think we know too much.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard for us to sometimes go back to that place where Jesus said, "If you are not, if you're not a child again, you cannot enter my kingdom." It's so difficult to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm gonna say I focus on children because um, do not despise them, guys. At the beginning, when they are sponges, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are still okay. Let me go back a little bit. Each human being was created by God, okay? And I do not believe that there's a human being on this earth who was created for nothing. I don't believe that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. So it is just the reality.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because they were created for a purpose, I don't know. Maybe we don't know what's the children we have in our homes. We don't know what their purpose are.
Right.
Only God knows. Even those kids don't know those. But um, as they grow, we're gonna have to create the environment and I would say the atmosphere for that leadership, for that purpose to come alive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only by reminding them, no, by telling them already very early that, hey, you were created for this. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what it is, but you were created for to achieve greatness, something big. But you have to start instilling that very early.
Mm-hmm.
um and if we start early,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to create that foundation. We have to put that foundation in them early, as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
um and that's the reason why, I mean, I wrote this book. Initially, I was thinking it was for kids about 6 to 12, but some people told me that they're already reading that book for kids who are 5 years old or even 4. They're already starting to share those stories. Now, the reason why we have to focus on those kids also is because, if you start early, it's
Mm-hmm.
going to shape their behavior early. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
it's going to shape their behavior early. It's going to create we can actually teach them the right attitude.
Mm-hmm.
We can actually help them build what is that word again? Resilience early.
Mm-hmm.
And the sooner or the earlier we start, and the faster we can create that positive impact with this in the society.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I wrote this one, it was because I usually work with teenagers. I would say from 13 to 21.
Mm-hmm.
But every time I work with them, I always feel like something is missing.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, okay, well, what if we had something else? What if they knew something before they came to me?
Mm-hmm.
What if they already had some type of foundation? But that
Mm-hmm.
foundation, before it can only be given by the parents. Okay, parents.
Right.
Unfortunately, a lot of parents don't maybe some parents don't understand the importance of teaching those key principles when they're still young. But
Mm-hmm.
some parents already understand that, but they just don't know how to start. So by writing this book, it becomes like a tool that parents can use,
I love that.
where they don't have to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else does the work. But here's the reality: when you purchase this book and you read it to your child,
Mm-hmm.
and you have that conversation with them,
Mm-hmm.
they actually think that you're the one teaching them those. Because as they grow, they're going to remember that one day my mom read this book with me, my dad read it. So you're becoming that person who teaches them those
Mm-hmm.
key principles. And that's the reason why I was thinking, if we can have a tool like that. And
Yeah.
I kept thinking when when my kids were younger, if they had something like that, it was going to be awesome. But they didn't have to. I had to grab information for too many sources to
Okay.
finally give them what they needed.
Yeah.
So I was like, what if there was just like that one thing? It's
Instant.
not it's not it's not everything though. It's not everything, but it's actually a good foundation to start.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you
Mm-hmm.
condensed and you summarized so many of the life principles that
Mm-hmm.
in most cases, I'll use myself as an example. Even though I saw some of the principles that you list in the book,
Mm-hmm.
they were so scattered, they were so diffused.
Yes.
I didn't see them in a concentrated form until I went into the military. And then the military began to teach certain principles and disciplines. And then that awakened a hunger for me in the space
Mm-hmm.
of what you call personal development. And
Mm-hmm.
then I began to become a student of those types of things on
Yes.
my own. But I didn't get them from my parents. So I want to make sure that we're saying this in a way that our audience, we want to thank you, Minister Carol, Aunt Jackie, Katrina, Gerald, Minister Mary. If y'all will share this, I want you all to really go out of your way. I am convinced that every grandma, big mama, and whatever you call, you know, all of those, but auntie, uncle, for the not only your children but your grandchildren, but I would even say professional teachers, educators. This is a great work for anyone to go. I don't know if you've created it with the thought to put a workbook to go with it to accompany it, but this can go into the schools, and this can be something that I think will make a phenomenal difference in some of the schools that are plagued with problems because the kids don't see themselves. They don't see themselves particularly
Mhm,
going and growing into anything in particular. But when you show them
mhm,
what's in them,
mhm,
what the
mhm,
possibilities are, and you stretch their imagination, their belief,
mhm.
their mindset, and you show them this model, I believe you're really giving them the equipment they need.
Yeah, you know what? Not only we have to start early, but we have to start the right way.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I mean, right? Like we have to start the right way. And um, as we speak, you just said it could be in schools. There are two schools back home in my home country, Cameroon. They
Huh?
actually have this book already. They have a few. They actually have not as their curriculum, but they actually purchased a lot. They put about 20 copies each, and they put in their library, and they
Mm-hmm.
make sure that kids can have that for. And they have some lessons that they. I was just shocked. I was like, wait a minute, why?
Yeah,
And so I'm grateful. I'm
I
grateful that it serves the purpose. And
love it.
yeah.
That is amazing. So let's do this for the sake of time. We don't have enough time. We might have to come back. First, would you give us, because I should have had a link. Tell us how we order the book. I want to put that in the comment. I'll put it on the banner so they can see that. Where can we go to order this read?
Okay, the book is everywhere online. If you Google The Phenomenal Leader in Me as we speak, it's on Amazon, it's on Barnes and Noble, it's on Harvard Bookstore, it's everywhere. Walmart has it, but people have been buying it on Amazon mostly. So if you can find it on Amazon, it's right there. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Amazon, Barnes and Noble, just to name a few.
Mhm.
Should we purchase from you directly, or should we go to those sources?
Oh yeah, if people want, if the people who want to have like a signed copy, they can
Yeah.
definitely come to me. Yes, definitely. Because I have people who reached out and they say it's almost Christmas and they would love to offer this book as a Christmas gift to kids. Yeah, definitely. As a signed copy, they can definitely reach out to me
How
immediately.
can
Yeah.
we do that? How can we reach you? Let me put that in the comments.
My phone number. I can. Do you want me to give you my phone number? Or is that?
However you want them to contact you. Your website.
Yeah, they can call. Yeah, they can shoot me a text 617-412-6325. Or they can reach out to me on Facebook inbox. I can do that.
Okay. And that number one more time, just in case, was 617.
412-6325.
All right. All right, y'all. Don't send no nonsense. Just say, hey, how do I order the book? Reach out to the woman of God. We don't want no problems, all right? Tell us, Coach, we don't have a lot of time left, but some of the insights that are in the book, these principles, that's a powerful word. You use principles and you use some personal heroes, if you will, characters that represent those principles to kind of to glue the two together. Some of those I can tell they were personal coaches, personal mentors to you. I knew that right away. And some were coaches and mentors from afar. And I believe in life we need both of those. We need those people that we'll never meet. And maybe some of them have, died and gone on to be with the Lord and all that. And we'll never meet them that way. But we can read what they wrote. We can, YouTube and all that type of stuff.
Yes.
But then we're really blessed when we have personal mentors who, we can touch. I mean, we can still put a hand on them, pick up a phone and give them a call and all that. Can you talk to us real quick about those different types of leaders that have poured themselves into you and how important that is, so that you can now pour that same thing and all that you bring to the table into others?
Yes. First of all, it's extremely important to find mentors. It's extremely important to have someone that you follow, either from close, so maybe from afar. The majority of leaders there, if you think about it, the common thing they have, the thing that they have in common is they had a message. They had a message. It was like, first of all, it was a message. Now, does that mean that they are perfect? No. Some of the leaders that I chose over there, maybe you might not like them. Maybe myself, I'm like, it is extremely difficult to find the perfect person, the perfect human being, because as we are on earth, it's very difficult. But the good thing about what they did was, like, for example, my number one, Dr. Miles Monroe. Oh my gosh. So I chose him because of the impact he has even after death on people's lives. It is incredible when it comes to, and that's the reason why I talked about impact. People like Dr. Martin Luther King, or those people. I was just making sure that I was taking one aspect, something that will highlight one of the greatest quality that will come, that the most important quality that we can talk about whenever we're talking about those leaders.
Right.
I have about 28 different qualities there. I mean, principles, and I had to find. It was difficult, man. I had to find people who actually emphasize this or that. And I'm not sure if you noticed that these are leaders from around the world.
Yes.
So if you take a look at that book, not only the cover is three different races. You can see an African American person, you can see Caucasian, and you can actually see Asian. Yes, it's really diverse. I did that on purpose because I wanted, even the names that I chose, We have some white names, some black names, some African names, some
Yeah.
Asian names. Some I have a kid there. His name is Ahmad. I did it on purpose, you know. I want to make sure I reach all. I want, you know, I've been in that place before where I grabbed a good book and I didn't feel represented. I didn't feel like the book
It's
was talking
yourself.
to me. It didn't talk to me. The information was good, but it didn't talk to me. So I want to make sure that every single child in the entire world who reads that book, opens the book, can
Yeah.
see himself there. And
I
all
love
those leaders that I chose, I did the same thing. I wanted kids to feel like, oh my God,
I
so
love that.
this is actually real. It's a real thing because telling
Everybody can
story,
see themselves. I see
yes,
male, I see female, I see
female, all
every
races, and here's the thing, Pastor Mel,
hmm
choosing leaders, it's a very the thing is, you can tell stories all you want. When I sat down and I created those stories, it's good, but they needed to see something real. They needed to see something. I wanted them I wanted to take their mind from the fiction part to the reality.
hmm
Because if you don't take their mind from fiction to reality, then they don't know it is real.
Yeah.
I wanted them to see, to understand, oh, this is real. I can actually become that person. Does that make sense?
Yep.
That's
Me
why
as
I chose
well.
those leaders.
That's good. So let's wrap it up with this. Of course, we can't unpack all those principles. There's a few dozen. And it's not that for every single person it will be the same way, but if you had to pick your top 5 principles, I know it's gonna
hmm
be hard.
Yes.
What would you say they would be and why? What are the key principles, the 5 key principles that young people today, by and large, in a general sense, there's some variation, but
hmm
generally speaking, what are the 5 key principles that you think that we most need to convey to our children in order for them to become phenomenal leaders?
Okay. First of all, right out about, I'm going to say attitude.
Mm,
Number one, do you know how many times people would just, if your attitude sucks anywhere, it doesn't, trust me, you can lose a job, you can lose friends, you can lose family members, you can lose friendship, you can, attitude. So
mm.
important. So important. Like the attitude is just that one thing that will determine even the way you perceive a situation. You
Wow.
know, if you have the right attitude and you face an issue right now, you can either call, like, if you fail a situation, if you face, I'm sorry, a situation, you can either choose to call it a problem or you can choose to call it an opportunity. And
Mm,
that is what attitude will do to you. Okay, so that's one thing. I would talk. The second thing will be integrity. Integrity, why? Because, ooh, Pastor Mel, you know how hard it is.
yes.
You know how many times we look up to some leaders in this world and we put them on the pedestal over there, and then you hear that they have some type of scandal. What does
Yeah.
that do to you? Because those leaders who are up there, they don't understand that once you become a leader, especially at that level, your
Mhm.
life doesn't belong to you anymore. You
That's
don't
right.
belong to you. Whatever
That's
you do, there's nothing that is private anymore. Your life belongs to the world, to the
that's
people you
right.
serve. So
That's right.
that's why integrity is so important. Now, I want to talk about the next one I will speak will be self leadership. No, self discipline. I'm sorry. Self discipline is something that I struggle with a lot, and I realize that it
Mm.
is really tough. My kids always, when I tell my kids I'm working on being self disciplined, they say, "Oh, mommy, I don't believe it. You're disciplined." No, 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 no. I don't feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be because and they will say this because they see me walking out all the time, trying to do this, and they see that those type of the things that I do, and but I feel like if without the self-discipline, there's so many things that you're gonna miss out on. Like you're gonna miss out on having a good health, for example. A good health, for example, or maybe the right people around you.
Mhm.
Because I tell my kids all the time, when you see someone like what is his name? You see all those basketball players and everything, like with those people think it's fame that we're looking for. We actually value their self-discipline. That's what makes them who they are. It's the
Mhm.
discipline.
Mhm.
hmm I will talk about empathy as well.
Yeah.
Empathy is and I would say empathy and compassion, these are my two last, like empathy and compassion.
Okay.
The last two, And I'm thinking about those two because they kind of go hand in hand. Because here's the thing, Pastor Mel, if
Mhm.
you cannot put yourself in someone else's shoes,
Mhm.
you cannot serve them.
Wow.
If you don't, and compassion means if you do not have compassion for someone else, how can you really lead them where you want them to go? It's not possible. It's like
Mhm.
that's why I was talking to the kids. I was about, I almost put love in those principles, but I didn't put, you know what I'm talking about. When I talk about the principles that I was talking about, you see, in the book I have 28. I almost put love, but I decided that I was not going to put love. And
Mhm.
if you read the book at the end, you're gonna see that I actually told them the letter that I wrote to the kids at the end. I
Mhm.
actually wrote two letters. I have a letter at the beginning, and I have a letter at the end. And
Mhm.
the letter at the end, I tell the kids, listen, with all everything that I told you about, you're gonna have to love human beings, love people for who they are. Like
Mhm.
you need to have that genuine love for children, for other human beings, because if you don't love somebody, then you cannot have compassion for them. You cannot have empathy. You cannot
Mhm.
even have the self-discipline. Trust me, the self-discipline to do what you're supposed to do to help them. You
Mhm.
know, and it's just it is like the love is going to cover all of that, but
Right.
those five are very important to me. This is my personal opinion.
Yes. Wow. Well, you've blessed us, and then what a powerful summary that you've given us. But, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, there's so much more in store for your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, and your nephews. That I would encourage you that these holidays in front of us, the Lord bless us to see Thanksgiving, they're all at the table. Christmas, they're all up under a tree looking for this, that, and other. You better get them one of these, and then the best investment is not just giving it to them, but reading it with them and reading it to them. Have some
Yes,
conversations about this.
yes, yes,
And I promise you, what a what a gift that you're giving that child, because they won't always be a child. One day they'll be a grown man and a grown woman, just like Coach Lucie, and you'll be so phenomenally proud of them because they have become absolute phenomenal leaders. Coach Lucie, give us some closing words. We want to thank you for your time. You've
Mhm.
blessed me again, and I'm going to continue to share this with some other people.
Thank you so much. I can say for those who are listening right now, um, remember that each person that you see today, either in any in inner any leadership position, either in healthcare or schools or in politics. Remember, these are other people's children. Okay, if you complain about our leadership today, and when I say our leadership, I'm not only talking about politics, because when people hear people in power, they or in leadership, they only think politics. I'm talking about all positions. If you complain about those people, it means you know somewhere in your heart that there's something that they don't have.
Mhm.
If we complain about those people today because they lack those principles sometimes, because there is somehow, somewhere, the work has not been done. The same way we complain about the leaders of today, the same way someone is going to complain about our leader, our own children tomorrow if we don't do the work right now. And please, parents and educators, especially parents, we can build that foundation right now. It's not society's responsibility to implement those things. It's not the society's responsibility. God gave you those children so that you can lead them the right way. So it's our responsibility to put that foundation already. And by the time they go to school and everything else, they're going to learn the other things. And they go to church, for example, where leaders like you, Pastor Neil, you just add to what the
And
parents already
that's right.
started. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So as parents, we have to make sure we do our part. We have to build that foundation because we want to help our society have the best leaders of tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you, phenomenal leader. Much love to you, Father's favor. Give baby girl my love. I'm so
I
encouraged,
will.
inspired by all that I see. Take care now.
Thank you so much, and bye bye.